Welcome back, everyone. We're here in week 7, day number 2 of the LCS Academy Summer Split. I'm Mazel, joined again by Rebel the Fox. And we had a game that we just covered. It was a game between Golden Guardians Academy and Evil Geniuses Academy where Contracts and the Evil Geniuses really showed up and showed out, at least in that first game, taking advantage early on of some plays, some decisions going awry for Golden Guardians, but it was the execution for me that was huge for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, GG drafted something that was supposed to play kind of fast to begin with, something that is intended to be earlier aggression to capitalize on some of those things, and EG did a really good job counteracting that. EG had a couple of players, not only the individual like execution, but also just like the reads on the map and the ability to punish off the back of those plays was also humongous for this team, which was really good to see from the side of EG. And now it like begs the question of how does Golden Guardians change their game plan for game 2, because they could go back to it and try to just like pin down what it was that went wrong in the earlier phase to not allow them to just start their snowball, instead get snowballed against, or they could go back to what is like more of a scaling composition, more of a late game thing that they can rely on their later game to play into the likes of EG.
Yeah, and I think this fight is really telling, right? This is where it was a little bit on the precipice, like 3,000 or 4,000 gold before it got to like 10,000 for EG. And you could see the pieces working in tandem for Golden Guardians, but it just wasn't there. The target calling was a little bit late. They were also split completely in direction of how the fight could go. And that's what I loved, is like this composition was in essence what I want to see from GGA, but it just didn't come down to it on the rip because of some of the execution.
They had their mistakes, and I think EG also punished appropriately. So I give props to both sides for, or at least fault to both sides for a lot of things. And EG played this out where it's like, okay, this game plan was really nice because Contracts was the one who was holding down the gas pedal, steering the game to begin with for the most part. He was the one that was allowed a lot of access to the lanes and a lot of the early pressure that they were allowed to have. And then the laners also put in a bunch of effort. Obviously, Jojo Pion and Tony Top stayed very active and very consistently around the map. In fact, the cross-map plays, teleports, roams, things like that were really, really good from the side of EG throughout this game. And it's something I want to see continue, because again, when you have these high skill players and they're interacting with each other quite a bit inside of these plays, you're going to see things like this happen again and again. You're going to see these positive outcome plays inside of skirmishes and things that you wouldn't normally see. I really like that from EG. Keep your map, start putting it all together like a lot sooner, because it was a really nice look from them.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we put a lot of eggs into the jungle basket for both these teams, but I think something else that really shone through for this, and we did talk a little bit about it to set it up, was that Tony Top matchup against Niles and Top on the Gwyn. Maybe not the most like proactive, crazy playmaking ability, right? But you're on the Gwyn, you're sustainable, you're strong as you get further into the game. And I think that matchup dictated a lot of what we saw from Contracts early on, but as well as the mid lane matchup too. I mean, it was a little bit more topsy-turvy than I would say that top lane matchup was, but both these solo lanes were super indicative of how the early game went for either side.
Our expectation was that this top side was going to be impactful on both teams, and that's expected given the names of the players that we have on the top side. I will say Yunbi did well to capitalize on the right like opportunities, but didn't do much else. It wasn't like Yunbi was like destroying people in one-on-ones or anything like that, taking over the game. It was more of like an opportunistic type stuff, which was good to capitalize on. But again, it wasn't pushing the game anywhere in favor for Golden Guardians, whereas Jojo Pion on the opposite side was kind of destroying team fights, using this Silas to just rip the other team apart. Golden Guardians didn't have a response, especially that last fight was gorgeous stuff from him. And Tony Top somehow played like strong side absorbing resources, weak side absorbing like ganks and stuff from Rosethorn, and also was like a team fighter all in one. Somehow he played the exact like Swiss Army knife roll this game from the side of EG, and it worked out well because he did all of them to just absolute plum.
I don't know why I'm thinking of it. It reminds me of weather in Texas where you can get snow in the morning, you got a bright sunny day in the afternoon with some rain in the middle of it. You got to visit every single iteration of top lane in one game, and I love to see it here from the side of Tony Top. Yeah, Texas.
Texas has that. The Midwest has that all year round. Well, why did you say Texas?
Because I'm from Texas and I have personal experience there. All right, Rebels.
So does everybody.
Maybe learn about learn about your co-caster a little bit. All right.
Harass Texas man here.
Harass Texas. All right, we got EGA this time on the blue side, and with Golden Guardians on the red, maybe some counter pick viability there, but still looking at what those early picks are going to be, as we're going to be getting into the draft here pretty soon. I want to see the big focus for EGA. Do they just go tried and true, get this Lee Sin again for Contracts and just let it rip, or what goes down here?
That's a good question as to whether they want. I think the Lee Sin obviously is comfortable for contracts. He's able to make a bunch of plays on it and things of that sort. And setting his lanes ahead is really important. So having some of that ability to attack the enemy jungler was big in the previous game. I will note the fact that I don't have exact numbers on win rates right now, but the majority of wins in these 1-1s that come through from the side of EG come on red side, not blue side. So this is their weaker side substantially. They do like to get their lanes in advantageous positions, and it's a lot easier to set up if you've got counterpick and things of that sort. So that's another something to consider, is that now Golden Guardians have the advantaged side against the likes of EG to maybe start looking into, what is their draft going to look like? How are they going to start into things like this? What is the strategy difference now? Now Golden Guardians get to control that pacing a little bit more. So it's what does EG have up their sleeve on this blue side to take as these power picks to set themselves up? And that Lee Sin definitely is something on the top of our minds, maybe.
Yeah, it is, because we've seen multiple great performances from Contract, but there's still other options on the board for either of these sides. I still would really like to see Rosethorn setting up for his team in the likes of the Sejuanis, things along those lines. I still do believe in Rosethorn getting those aggressive early junglers, the things that can really set the tempo for the team, but I feel like it's more at home when you get picks like the Sejuani or things along those lines for GGA. And, as we see, the Aurelia in game number 1, Niles, it didn't work out. There were some bright moments further on, but I want to see Niles get something else. Want to see something that maybe has a little bit more safety up there, but still some playmaking ability, which is hard to come by, I gotta admit.
That's a tough game to gauge, just because Niles seemed to play out a lot of the individual moments decently well. It's just that he was ganked relentlessly and was very far behind and couldn't really climb back in. And there were no avenues for the Aurelia to get back into the game. They were closed off by either just the constant team fighting that required his presence, or the ganks that would come through, and Rosethorn not able to get onto Tony top, things like that, getting shut out as well. So
yeah.
I don't mind that. The thing I really want to see, honestly, is Trundle. I kind of want to see them give Xin Zhao over to the side of Contracts, pick the Trundle, because I think Rosethorn on Trundle would be the perfect combination of can scale to late game and play some of that tank frontline type thing, has some of the utility with the ultimate, but also in the initial parts of the game has the dueling power to deal with Xin Zhao, has that pillar to affect lanes, and there's a lot that goes to value here with the Trundle pick. And I think that's what I'd really like to see Rosethorn operate here, because I think it's the perfect storm of what it is that Golden Guardians. It's a great tool to pivot off of to decide what your strategy is going to be.
Yeah, very excited to see what they're going to want to go with their first 2 picks on that red side. We do want to go through the bans, though, really quickly. Rebel, as EGA ban away the Thresh, Senna, and Callista. On the other side, GGA ban away the Lulu, Gwen, and Viego, as it will be Xin Zhao picked up for Contracts.
Nothing shocking about that one. While Lee Sin is insanely powerful, Xin Zhao is seen as, I think, doing everything like that, and with better late game scaling. We've seen the damage just get completely nutty. He's a good team fighter as well, and then on top of both of those, still has that early game dueling power that a Lee Sin would contain as well. So Xin Zhao is a perfect storm of jungler right at this moment, given over to the side of GGA, or given over to the side of EGA, my apologies, in exchange for now you have Karma. They go for Volibear instead of anything else.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah, it's flexible. It can fight in the earlier stages against the likes of Xin Zhao, so that's still a jungle potential from the side of Rosethorn that can kind of manage the early game. They do give over power picks, though, because there's still things available that they were hovering some of it that had come through. And so it's a question of how much does EG now get off the back of comfort here with the Karma Volibear combination.
I do like the Karma setup there. Maybe not necessarily the tool I was looking for Golden Guardians to get, but Rosethorn getting super comfort on the Volibear, something else that gives you a little bit more strength in it instead of just being that full utility, set up the rest of the team. You get a little bit of power yourself. Maybe not what I was looking for, but excited for this composition as they also lock in the Tristana here. It was the Ziggs Nautilus combo locked in for EGA.
Interesting, because in the previous game, we had seen that Team Luke went to the Ezreal in response. We also saw that in the previous series in game number 2 that had come out from them as well. So that was interesting, that Luger and also Team Luke have opted for Ezreal. But here it's Golden Guardians Academy's bot laner Prismal, who does a lot of the heavy lifting. He usually has very high damage percentage for his team, given that they rely on late game quite a bit. He is decided on Tristana, which tells me, do they want to go for full engage? They want to try to attack the Ziggs. It's not a strategy that works very often. It's very difficult to try to make those two, to make that work, especially with a Thresh lane, but Nautilus is also protective like that with the Vanguard type support. So I'm curious what they have up their sleeve to try to find this aggression into the likes of the Ziggs Nautilus bot lane. You do see, if you get the level 2 trades or something, Tristana can absolutely outdamage the Ziggs and get on top and really threaten kills. So that is the possibility we're expecting from Prismal Newbie here.
And another thing that we're getting in this second game is You know, solo lanes aren't picked up in the first half this time around. A lot of bot lane focus, getting the last picks for the solo lanes. Not something we've seen a lot of, at least here recently. We do want to talk about the bans that we see as EGA banned away the Gangplank. The response from GG was the Lucian LeBlanc. We're waiting on the final ban from EGA. Probably a little bit more solo lane focus, if you would think.
Making sure to get rid of the focus
The
on
Ornn.
the Jojo Pion and the Jojo Pion, making sure he's mid lane pool. The Ornn is one that Niles has played really well.
Yeah.
I will say in this comp, unless Karma's going into support, they would be very low on damage, which would be problematic. But instead they go to support. They go immediately into Rel, which is really cool because Leona's available. You don't get to see a lot of Rel players. Newbie opting into that one for a bit more like AoE team fight potential and like potential for diving over walls, some creativity and stuff like that. But yeah, interesting that Newbie opts for like the Rel matchup into the likes of the Ziggs rather than something like the Leona, even though Leona's good into Nautilus. So we do know that. So this is comfort for Newbie. This is something he really wanted.
It is, and the question here is like, right, the setup. I do feel like with the Leona, you have a little bit more that go forward, and with Rel, you have that as well, but it's not as instant. It's not as lockdownable, I guess. And so for GGA, like this last pick for me is the crucial piece and how they want to play this game and where they want to go towards. You got the Aurelia locked in, and now the Jace as well for EGA. They've got some serious firepower coming down of those individual lanes.
I think over the last 2 weeks, 3 games were played from Tony Top on the Jace, so it's something that's been worked on. It didn't have the most success. I think it went 1 and 2 over the little 3-game stretch, but it's at least something to consider. It's not something that Tony Top played a bunch of prior to his academy stint. Now getting into the champion, being one of these carries, you notice the range that they've got with like Xin Zhao and Nautilus and Ziggs and Jace. But like you're oohing and ahhing at right here, it's the selection of the lane attempt here from Niles wanting to try to snuff out Tony Top here in the beginning phases against the likes of this Jace.
His most played champion so far here on the Lee Sin. Love to see it. Want to see how it performs up against this Jace, against this top lane matchup, because I think that's super interesting, especially how game number 1 went, where I feel like there's going to be a little bit more craziness to go down in this top lane.
Well, they definitely want to shut out Tony Top because he's been amazing over the last 2 days when he starts to get ahead. And now you've got Rosethorn on not only early damage, but also tower diving potential with Lee Sin, which is going to be difficult to deal with. And shutting out Jace already is a really good tactic inside of games. So if they get Niles going early, that I think is the strategy here. Yunbi's on something that controls the lane a little bit more, difficult to play against if you're the Aurelia, and has a good amount of pushing power for the earlier stages to roam out and help Rosethorn. So I think this is GGA who have gone from, we're going to play very aggressive on pure top side to now we're going to take Yunbi with Rosethorn and we're going to attack side lanes, and that's going to be our play. We're going to rely for late game on the likes of Prismal, but this early game we're going to have some action as well to try to shut out some of the early game from EG.
And I was going to say, opting into that early game discussion for EG, it is all about the top side of the map, and it is all about getting advantages early. They are all AD, and you've got Ziggs to back you up. And I want to see if EGA can find those early advantages. We've known them to be able to get that good pathing, those instinctual moments for contracts, especially on this Xin Zhao, as we've hit the rift for the second time of this second series. Evil Geniuses Academy taking on Golden Guardians Academy.
So now we get a chance to see another matchup that is, I think, swayed earlier on in the game because it's like Xin Zhao versus Volibear, where both of them are early aggressive. They can both do some pretty good damage. Both have CC to work with their lanes. But now you've got, I think, mid-priority here for the likes of Yunbi over the top of the Aurelia. Whereas last game it was Jojo Pyun who was able to, off the back of that level 2 trade, or level 1 trade, level 2 trade, I guess he was versus his opponent, that let him move faster. It should be Yunbi who has that process now. So now fighting in the river, I think, becomes harder for contracts to do. So I think this comp for EG is harder to play early compared to what they had in the previous game. So that is at least something take into consideration, that this is going to be a little bit later of the ability to play from the side of EG. They got a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, because like Jojo Pyun and the Aurelia, you got the Jace who can eventually scale very well as well. But the earlier game, I think, is harder to play to from Contracts. So Contracts, I think, has to play to his lanes a lot more and less of this like skirmishing power, where last game he played really heavily into punishing Rosethorn.
You're telling me we're not going to get constant fighting for the first 15 minutes? Come on, what is this? What kind of world is this? This is League of Legends now. I do expect there to be a little bit slower of a pace this time around. I would like to still see some of that the pathing come down to maybe some of that aggression, maybe not full blown, but you can try to steal away camps, things like that, if you're not going for those full on fights. But it does look like we had the opposite side starts a full clear from the red side of Rosethorn, where you do get that quick clear from Contracts.
You do. We're watching that like unfold in front of our eyes right now. I know I've seen like level 3 gets hot, I think immediately after Grump, which is why you'll see like sometimes this is the cut point where you go after Grump immediately into a lane gank, especially because you get that health and that mana boost from taking down the Grump. And that is the case right here. It's also possible that it's just for coverage, because if you see Tony Top's shoving on the top side, making sure to try to deny like minions and push in early, maybe for an early back timer into a Lee Sin, try to get a tier or something so that you can cast more abilities and start to scale up here on the likes of the Jays. And so Contracts cuts camps like that just to be on the defensive, to make sure that there's no cut from Yunbi, from Rosethorn to try to go up into top lane. And that is defense. Now has a chance potentially to come into mid lane and aggress against Yunbi if he steps up too far.
I was going to say, trying to bait Yunbi out. Oh, just barely misses the prod with the spear. Early gank from Contracts. Not going to bear fruit this time around.
No, it will not. Ooh, actually really nice.
That's really nice. I like that interaction a lot.
Yeah, that was fantastic from Team Blue, because not only did he get himself away, he also was able to deny the play coming out from Newbie. I was hoping with bot lane push, maybe there would be a possibility to contest against bot Scuttle, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case, as Contracts just holds mid lane to make sure that Yunbi is going to be stuck here for another rotation, ends up going into top side to grab that Scuttle Crab. So now Rosethorn has nothing to take except for the Krugs on the bottom side of the map. I wonder if EG's bot lane, I know Mystique's is actually right here, he's waiting, he catches out Rosethorn before this gank can come through.
It's a bit unfortunate here. Oh, they still found the CC chain there on the Team Luke. He tries to get out with the satchel charge, but he is dead. Rocket jump over the wall is going to get Prismal to safety, and now Mystique's is the target. Newbie taking up the tower beautifully. Prismal's not there for the damage, though, and now there he goes. That's a second kill for GGA. Prismal gets out, but Rosethorn definitely not. This time he's going to try to make his darnest attempt of shenanigans, but Team Luke gonna get a kill back.
Yeah, able to find the counterplay now into bottom lane, but not until after the entire play goes awry here from EG, where like they're able to find out where the volley bear is going to be. So they're like, okay, maybe Krugs, they're gonna go behind the tower. It looks like they're shoving, that kind of thing. But all it does is it just like gives them the information that they are doomed from the start, unfortunately, on the side of EG's bot lane. They were able to stall things long enough again to get that one trade kill back for Contracts, and it ended up going on to Ziggs, which is huge because that allows you to get some AP on your next back timer to maybe start this wave clear and make this play really hard to replicate from the side of Golden Guardians. But well played to start with here from Rosethorn, finding the first play of the game.
Yeah, what we want to see from GGA here is good communication, good coordination, especially on the tower aggro and the ins and outs. Newbie able to tank the side over there for a while, but it did give time for EGA to respond.
But it did. I also want to give a ton of props, because during that possibility, Prismal was like under tower tanking, having just immediately tanked the initial like portion of the tower, and it was very close to getting like autoed out of his W by the likes of the Nautilus coming out. Mystique's nearly flash autoed him in midair, which would have stopped him and killed him because he was taking Gower aggro. Thankfully, we just like live like fractions of a second off of losing that one and not falling. So very well played by Prismal, not having to burn flash and able to get out on his own volition without going down to the tower in the meantime.
Well, you know what time it is now. We have objectives on the Rift. We've got the Dragon, first one of the game, up there with the Cloud Dragon to start us off. Both teams were hovering around that area. Thought maybe a little vision game was going to come through, but it's actually just Golden Guardians who are going to keep priority over the bot lane, essentially move towards that Dragon, as now we see Contracts up towards the top side of the map.
How we do. Continuing to put some aggression into the mid lane. Again, this is Irelia, when left to her own devices, seems to always pull attention from either the mid or from either team. Either team is putting aggression into her. So she's either left completely alone or somebody is always trying to get her very ahead or very behind. And here the support is there constantly from Jojo Pyun to try to make sure that the Irelia is going to go forward in these fights and things of that sort, just to try to make sure that the Karma isn't able to break loose. Because at the moment, it's a 20 CS advantage, so that's scaling for the likes of Jojo Pyun, as well as being able to control the lane with threat into Karma, potentially with level and CS and gold advantage. That keeps the Karma kind of stuck here more than you would want.
They are waiting. Contracts sat there for so long, and it's the commitment to get Jojo Pyun ahead on this Irelia. Yeah, they lose the first Dragon, but they got Irelia a kill.
Absolutely. And spiking this Aurelia, you've seen the kind of damage it can do. Just yesterday on the Academy screen, we had some really big pop-off games from Aurelias, and now they are putting their eggs into the Jojopion basket, trying to make sure that that's going to go well. Notice, if you will, how quiet of a top lane we've had, despite the fact that we have two. It's been a bit more about the bot lane and the mid lane, where the pressure is going. Gold's even first dragon in the game goes to the side of Gold Guardians. But again, we talked about how EG's cool taking this into the later stages. So it's, okay, what is Rosethorn capable of doing to throw more of the map into disarray, to throw more of this map into chaos, to allow the side of Golden Guardians to find more of an advantage coming into mid-game that they can try to press, so they don't have to worry about late-game Jace, late-game Aurelia as much as they do already.
And I have really appreciated, while Contracts has been waiting, buying time, trying to find the best engages, especially around the mid lane. He's spent so much time in the first 8 minutes here in that mid lane, or just trying to set up over Yunbi. Rosethorn has taken advantage of that, has gotten a decent CS differential, at least in the clear speed that he's been able to have around the jungle. And I think that's something to appreciate as well for GGA.
Absolutely. You're noticing also roam timings here coming out from Newbie, and you always like to see this. Newbie has been a very good performer. Oh, wow, actually, Tony Top finds over the wall. Niles, what?
Rosethorn is there. Nice little dodge out. We'll get Niles to safety. Eat the berries there as well and be able to get some health back. So the rest of GG, we're right there just in case things went a little crazier, but both teams right on the precipice of these big engages.
Everyone's kind of here right now. I know EG's kind of like, they're waiting for the engagement onto Rift Herald to happen. Mystique's up here as well. Faster, though, unfortunately, is the Tristana. So they will have that advantage here, where Tristana's up here and Ziggs is currently shoving in bot lane. But if nothing happens towards this Rift Herald, that is wasted time for the Tristana, that is going to lose turret plates on bottom side. So they have to take this. Contracts is going to challenge for it. They have more members.
Yeah, Contracts is right there fighting over the Rift Herald here. He might be able to get the kill on the Rosethorn. The shield comes through, and I believe, Contracts, you have bitten off more than you can chew, because you're going up against the bear. That's it. Contracts is dead, and Golden Guardians get the Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, was not able to burst down the Volibear fast enough right there, because you thought right immediately at the beginning, it's like, okay, if I am able to burst out Volibear, there's no chance. But unfortunately, Rosethorn is able to get behind it and press W, which is going to give more health, and also smite it, which means a ton of health. Now Tony Top in some real dire straits.
Stormbringer comes in. They got Mystiques here. A lot of CC, but Tony Top is already dead. Rosethorn gets out with a nice flash. Team Luke, you're in so much trouble. You're in deep, my dude. And Team Luke goes down. We got the trading top. Mystiques with the outplays. Trying to get all the kills up here on this Nautilus. Not going to find all of them, but does find one.
Yes, he does. This is two situations where top side, they try to make this dive work. It does find Tony Top in exchange for a kill onto Mystiques. I think you take that 100% because it does shut down the Jace at least a little bit. Bottom side, the attempted play from Team Luke was to just shove waves over and over again and to try to match the turret plating that you would get from the Rift Herald that was taken from the side of Golden Guardians. Did accomplish that, but I think got a little greedy attempting to go for more, because now I think it's like 1 or 2 autos off of being at 2 plates, and 1 more plate additional off of that means that it's just executed by a Ziggs bomb immediately. So unfortunately, Team Luke got caught up in that at least a little bit. Does TP back, so not going to be punished that much. But now all of a sudden, Prismal has multiple kills. You do have your kill on Niles to begin the game. This is kind of the mid-game spike we were hoping to see from Golden Guardians, that maybe they can break loose into a much more advantageous position.
And the question for me now is, where does the attention turn to for Golden Guardians? You've got a lot of presence down towards this bot lane. You also have the Rift Herald available to you, but Rosethorn might be in some trouble here as Mystiques has found the flank onto the bear himself. They want some revenge as Contracts wants to get the kill. The Sky Splitter does a lot, but it's not enough, and Contracts gets revenge on Rosethorn.
Good play right there. We're able to find him in rotation to that bottom side, where again they're looking maybe for the likes of the Ziggs. Niles tries to find a way behind Tony Top and cannot quite get that angle. I think was trying to go for a kick behind, but not able to get into it fast enough. So again, Niles with that initial kill already getting aggressive into the likes of this Jace, but right there, not able to find the right angle. So some of the aggression shut down across the map, where Niles doesn't find anything and bot lane they don't find anything. This is that dive from earlier. And again, this is a good setup because Volibear and Lee Sin both really good at diving, but Mystiques was already on top side to cover for the Rift Herald. So he just throws this big bar into it. In fact, a level 6 Mystiques right here probably just wins this entire play. This is that bottom side play where the Ziggs, I think, again, was caught up just a little too far, trying to push the wave and things of that sort, got caught in transition. And it is really sad, unfortunately, that Mystiques was only level 5, because level 6 he wins here, 100%.
Roaster just walked straight into him. There was no question to his body. He's like, this is the right move. I'm going to go straight at Mystiques. Luckily, they get Niles out of there, which is huge.
That they do, and I think that was part of it. Was like, okay, they're already in a rough position. Niles is already kind of under tower and has to get out of dodge. So right there, it's Rosethorn going, okay, I can dodge one more auto attack, maybe buy time. Yeah, I can do something to try to stall this just so that Lee Sin can get out of the situation. And they do. They at least get the 1-for-1 and end up trading. And again, it's positive because it was Lee Sin for Nautilus trade of kills, and that's 100% worthwhile for the Lee Sin to grab that.
So Kraken Slayer has been picked up by Prismal. They immediately move down to this dragon. Will be the second dragon of the game for Golden Guardians Academy, as there's no response to come out from Contracts and EG. They were focusing towards the top side of the map this time around. So nice objective control already from GGA. Now they also need to use this Rift Herald because it's starting to come up, and that's going to be used immediately bot lane.
Yeah, the control from this combination of lane, which is the Tristana and the Rel, has been really good because Prismal, or Mystique, my apology, has been out and about quite a bit. And while Team Luke has tried to batten down the hatches in bot lane, it's just kind of difficult to do. Didn't quite get 3 plates. Can he stop the auto? He does. Really well played.
That's a lot of damage. Depth charge out. Mega Inferno bomb, but the rocket jump gets him out. No, it doesn't. Team Luke with the sniper bomb. Contracts is found. Rosethorn Stormbringer brings him out. Sky Splitter gonna slow him down as well, but that's the 3-talon strike that knocks him up. And now you've gotten a rejoin for Jojo Pyun, and Rosethorn goes down yet again.
It's bottom side of the map. They just stand too far forward, trying to push into the tower. They don't quite get the second plate. They lose their first tower, and Ziggs has so much damage where Mystiques is playing it out of his mind on this Nautilus, punishing Prismal standing too far forward, and the attempted play onto the bottom side from Rosethorn to maybe help out down there ended up getting caught in translation by Contracts and Jojo Pyun, thinking, okay, can Yunbi show up? Yunbi can't. Yunbi's shoved in. He's down so much pressure in this mid lane because of the early ganks that Contracts put in that your Karma's not able to roam the way that you would want it to, have that map pressure and that river control that you kind of drafted for in the first place. And because of that, that's another kill goes over Rosethorn. Now Jojo.
Yeah, that's just one of those. Actually, maybe he'll turn it around here. Oh, he gets kicked out, but he gets killed by Yunbi.
Somehow it's Mystiques again, also in the right place at the right time, still finding plays. And I was really hyped because I thought maybe Niles was going to end up low enough right there that a Q could have come in from the likes of the Aurelia and maybe found something, but it's not going to be the case. It's simply not.
Contracts!
His flash is almost up.
Flash, but Tony Top is on the other side of the map, or on the other side. Oh no, yeah, it's just but anyways, even if he did have it, Tony Top's waiting right there with the guillotine. So big movements from EGA. This is the strength that we've seen them have before. Their map movements and know how to make plays happen, and it's shining through as they've taken a 1.4K gold lead.
They have. And again, a lot of it off the back of Contracts, able to find some aggression pretty much everywhere. But I got to tip my hat to Mystiques this game, who is absolutely popping off on the Nautilus, because it's faith that they put in Team Luke to not just get absolutely obliterated on bottom side. And I can appreciate that he's been able to hold his own for the most part against Prismal. Actually has an experience advantage because of how far out that Mystiques has been. But that impact on the map has been felt very often when like supports move like that. Sometimes you don't feel that impact because their plays don't mean that much. But Mystiques has forced it. He's forced that interaction across the map that has made it worthwhile. So big props to him and his abilities, and then also to Team Luke, who again, he had some pressure built up against him. They end up trading bot tower first for their bot tower eventually that goes to Prismal, so you take that trade 100%, and now getting into burst itemization with the Horizon focus and Ludens on the docket here, and that means 1 Q is going to knock down Prismal from like half health. If you think Tristana can jump in after tanking 1 Q, you're very wrong, because she will die very quickly.
Yeah, it gets to be a scary moment. We've also seen Ziggs with the incredible wave clear, being able to keep towers alive, being able to take down towers as well when you have that momentum. And I think that's definitely in favor of EGA right now, as Yunbi taking a hefty trade there and gonna have to flash away because he was about to die to Mystiques.
And Mystiques is always there. No matter what situation you're in, he is there with a hook ready to go and forces out the flash from Yunbi. This deep into territory. Look where they're at right now. They're pushed up beyond the tier 2. Jojo Pyun's going to be able to pick it up for free and be able to pick up the rest of his wave gold as well. There's nothing stopping them either, and nobody's able to respond mid lane because, again, Team Luke's on this Ziggs with all this burst damage means the wave is just never going to get pushed. They decide to throw Jace into this lane too, so Niles gets some damage on top tower, but he's not strong enough to bring it down either. They're going to try to force in mid lane, but that's the best play they've got.
Yeah, they've got a Rift Herald after taking that while they were, at least EGA were focusing down towards bot side. Don't think it's going to get very much there. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't even look like it got a charge off, so that's a bit unfortunate. But at least objective secured for the moment for GGA, and they do get this top tower for Niles.
I think the thing is here is like, Niles is going to get the tower, so you're like, okay, we'll drop it mid lane, try to get an effect of some kind here. Yeah, this is the poke that you can talk about. Look at the range advantage that
ADC's people, bring. Why are they even in the game? No,
he's not. He's not in the game anymore.
I want to be joking, all right?
Yeah, but you're not. Again, I want to come back to this because, again, you could have dropped Rift Herald top lane and I think pulled a fair amount of pressure and moved everybody through mid lane to try to counteract some push that had come through if you're on the side of Golden Guardians. They decide instead to throw it into mid lane just to try to put some pressure into that tower, and they lose it. It does mean Niles picks up gold, but it also means they're a little slower on this rotation to dragon. So they're just giving up this next dragon to the side of Evil Geniuses, where maybe if you throw that Rift Herald top lane and then immediately back with Rosethorn Niles, work your way in through mid to push it out, and then work your way into river and have 5 members, this contest could potentially come through, but they decided to sack it just in exchange for the guaranteed gold and the potential of that mid lane push.
They want to get good up here, though. This is the response play from Golden Guardians. Niles get away, as that's a stacked up Aurelia. They've got a lot of members up here, but Jojo Pyun trying to make his mad dash. They've got 5 on top of you, though, and you're going to go down. Rosethorn gets the kill.
That you will. I'm watching to see whether or not there's a response in mid lane here, because it was just backs across the board as the dragon had gone down. Jojo Pyun does pull the tower, so in terms of gold trade, I think he's fine with that, because it ends up being like a full, just like the 1 kill, and it wasn't like a big shutdown quite yet. It was just like the slight shutdown that had come through. Unfortunately, they can't push the mid wave far enough to actually get any damage onto the tower from the likes of the Ziggs, so it's not too much. It's just the dragon traded for the likes of the life of Jojo Pyun, with the top tower going down to boot as well, as a 3,000 gold lead has come through from EJ. They've really turned around this game off the back of the power that they've been able to drag out from Contracts and Mystiques attacking the map, and this Aurelia who's just dominating the game right now.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing to me, is like, it's not like somebody's got all the kills. It's pretty spread across the board, but GGE were able to find good advantages early, but not able to transition it anywhere else. As Stormbringer comes out, they want to go for the damage. Oh my god, that Mega Inferno Bomb with the Horizon Focus now unlocks the damage, and EG used that to press into GGA as they take down everybody in the vicinity. Prismal and Niles, the only one left on the map.
There's no play to be had here anymore also. Is like your 2 main damage dealers that you have right now are Niles and Prismal. Neither one of them is close enough to the fight. Rosethorn gets dropped, I think, 50% of his health bar from that and Mega Inferno Bomb, which is insane. I don't think you can go for end here. I really was thinking maybe that was a possibility. Team Luke now getting engaged on though.
Okay. They do find something. They get Team Luke.
They do. Yeah, it's because, like, EG's like, okay, if this were 5 minutes later, you can't make that play mid lane because there's a legitimate threat that the game ends, right? But because they're, like, 19 minutes into this game when this play happens, they're able to move into mid because they're like, they're not going to be able to push into Nexus Tower. That's not going to happen. So they do get something back for themselves by shutting down the Ziggs, able to get that at least a little bit. Also, I think it goes onto the Tristana as well, which is pretty big because, again, that's your late game carry. This is what GGS is really banking on here to try to find for the later stages of the game. But again, this is pennies compared to what is being acquired off the map here. This engagement from Contracts was awesome. The Inferno Bomb was so good.
Yeah, it just, these are tanks. Look, these are tankier members. Members. They just get obliterated by that Mega Inferno Bomb. And yeah, unfortunately, you know, the things does go down in the end, but this play is a huge momentum increase, at least for EGA.
I just want to say that Horizon Focus Ziggs is a heck of a drug to have to deal with. Because, like, when you think about it, it's like a huge, it's like a 10% pure buff to your damage. That middle shot alongside the Luden's proc with the penetration on top of that and the other thing. Again, like you said, these are bulky members that are just getting ripped to shreds because of this Ziggs ultimate that comes through. And it's really big. And again, not having damage dealers there was also a big problem. Because even if you soak that damage, it doesn't matter. Contracts will engage.
Yeah, they want the fight here. The Crescent Guard's out. They've already found the damage on the newbie and on the Rosethorn. You got Tony Top on the back. They want to take the pick out here, but Contracts is finding Rosethorn as well as Mystiques, and Niles trying to make the play here. Can't get it. Finally does get the shutdown on a Tony Top, but you've got strong members across the board for EGA as they're taking this tier 2 tower. Rosethorn goes in, tries to get some engagement there. Contracts goes back. Rocket jump in for Prismal. They've gotten Contracts, but can they get the rest of it now? Jojo Pyun doesn't get the reset, but Prismal does. The big rocket jumps in, and Team Luke, the only member left.
Oh, so much damage out of the team. They gotta be careful.
He's gonna kill somebody here. Niles is dead.
Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. I thought for some reason that we were like surrendering. I'm like, why are we surrendering now? It's not gonna happen. Team Luke able to clutch one end. I will say, EG actually didn't have a great fight here. They missed a couple of ultimates because Contract's initial engagement wasn't great, and then also the ultimate from Aurelia wins. It just did nothing. And so because of that, you lost a bunch of those tools. If those hit, I think maybe the initial engagement looks really good, and Tony Top can't be focused as heavily. But because that happened and the fight got so spread out, it was two members that end up going down, because I think Rosethorn doesn't end up, oh, he does, flashing over the wall, able to save his life. So it just ends up a 1-for-1, and probably could have been saved better if they had had Tony Top in a better position with that ult landing from Aurelia. And from here, they're diving tower without a bunch of tools. Prismal's able to pop up, and it's easy enough to work their way through this fight once those tools are down. Golden Guardians are able to rely on the Tristana for the late game damage, but do note that Team Luke is not gonna take this one lying down either.
He's doing so much on the back line.
I love this right
also
here,
getting the tower. I'm just gonna shout him out right there, but damn, that damage is so big.
Those two mines. That's all it was. It dropped him like 30-40% of his health.
Oh, EG are in the fight, and so are GG, but they're getting wiped already. Resets from JoJo Pyun. Prismal's down through the rocket jump, and that could just be game here if they want to make it. Yunbi under tower, but he's getting chased down. Rosethorn left out to his good graces. Ooh, big damage from Yunbi back, though, as JoJo Pyun wants it. He's back. Can he get it? He does. That's huge, as EGA gonna push for the dub.
And I think they should get it. They have 20+ seconds on every member that has damage. The only one that's going to be up is Newbie, but I doubt he stalls it, and especially with the Ziggs, they burst down this tower. EG, it is a scrappy game number 2 between the two of them. GGS had some positive plays, but man, off the back of this Aurelia pick that got picked really early, and off the back of contracts yet again, they're able to transfer a bunch of this early game power into a nice spike and 23-minute victory against Golden Guardians to take another 2-0.
Wow. Just wow. It is impressive to see a performance like this. As you see my face and frozen face on the screen, it's just, I'm locked in concentration. I'm locked in the fight, because we're going to look at the replays of that one, and it was tooth and nail here. Everybody putting everything on the rift, but it's still EGA that were more decisive, it felt like.
Yeah, like I said, the early game was clear focus from the side of Contracts, where it's like you really wanted to make sure that you could get your Aurelia going, and then it was Contracts that, again, he's like the spear to this composition. Not a joke, not trying to make a Xin Zhao reference here, but again, being this kind of forward fighting member from the side of EG on a couple of different compositions in many places, and then having multiple weapons to try to attack with. This is like a response play that you have, but again, a lot of the time, GGS's like their plays across the map were responses that didn't accomplish all that much across the board when you consider what it was that EG was pulling off in these regards. And so it was EG that was able to pull like fight into objective into second objective and things like that, and that training or that like chain of things that you would pull off the map is really what solidified this game for themselves. I think that's the case. Yeah, we get quite a bit of like action between these two teams as we close things out here and all things out. It was very nice. I thought Golden Guardians even still, like, they had a couple of good game plans. They just weren't ever really able to, like, find their way to attack it, right? And because of that, like, these games, like, EG was able to always find the way that they wanted to win and operate on it. So it was GGS not able to find their, like, win conditions, and EG always being able to succeed on theirs throughout the course of the game. And so that was the trouble. I did want to see a bit of a slower game. I'm a little upset that they weren't able to find it at any point, because, again, this was a 23-minute victory. If this goes to 28-30 minutes something, maybe Prismal can carry, but it kind of depends on where you land. We didn't get to see that from here. Instead, EG doesn't give them that win con today.
All right, well, it does sound like we've got our interview ready. It's gonna be with JoJo himself for the Verizon post-game or post-match interview. What a performance coming in for that game number 2. I see the smile on your face already. How you feeling, man?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. I was confident in my teammates, and they performed, and so did I, so yeah.
That's all that really matters in the end, right? Getting the dub with the teammates. But I had to say, taking a 2-0 victory must feel really good, especially as we're getting further along in the season here, at least in the summer split. And when you're looking at, top 6 to get in the Academy playoffs, has there been any mind shift or mind state focus shifts from the team itself as you get further along in the season?
Honestly, I think we've been trying new drafts a lot, but like
Okay.
since we're getting kind of close to the top six, maybe falling off, like we have to play what we're good at. So that's why I played like one of my best champs. Um, we're just more focused today than usual. So yeah, it worked out.
Hey, focusing it up at the right moment here, I gotta say. Rebel, you have any
Yeah.
questions?
I'll give you what is the kind of faith that you guys have in each other? Because it's very clear that everyone's capable of carrying games. All of you are incredibly talented. So tell me about the trust that you have, and how long did it take to kind of develop that trust among your team to let each other kind of make these aggressive picks and these kinds of things work? Because you guys very clearly made it work today.
I think it's just the chemistry we have, not even in league, but outside of league too. Like our bonding is pretty good, and I think that really affects how we play in game. Like we can trust each other more, so I think that helps a lot. That's one of the reasons why we can like play so smoothly together. So yeah.
I really appreciate that. I love to see those kinds of bonds be established and especially transfer that onto the Rift. Now, I'd ask you a more personal question for yourself here. This whole split, what has it been like for you being a part of this team? You know, having contracts in this jungler role, this tried and true, very, very good jungler who, at least for what I've seen, right, likes to speak his mind occasionally. What has it been like for you adjusting to the composition, the team, and especially as you get further along in the season?
I think at first, when we first started off the split, since Contracts is really good and he's been a veteran, he's been calling a lot of like the calls in the game. I think the more we played, like the more all of us understood the game more. And then I think everyone kind of calls now and understands what we want to do. So yeah.
I like it. I like it. Man, it's just all coming together for the evil geniuses here as we get further into the split. I got to get one more thing in. You got any shout outs, any call outs you want to give here before we let you go?
Shout out to my parents, I guess, my mom and dad, since they gave me the opportunity. Shout out my teammates, and yeah, that's all.
Hey, thank you so much, JoJo. Appreciate the time.
Thank
Go
you.
celebrate the win. Get right back to it next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was our post-match interview, powered by Verizon. What a series to bring us to a close for the second series of the day. We still got one more on the docket here, Rebel. Just got to keep up the energy because we're going into a banger here after this short little break. We're going to be taking on the mantle of TSM Academy versus FlyQuest Academy. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.